Hello everybody and welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000 or a console of your choice. My name's Such.
My name is James.
But yeah, how are we getting on? I did think about you at the week because I've obviously not been making moves.
You thought about me?
I've not been making transfers because I am trying to go for May Manager of the Month. And obviously...
we're really stupid.
We should have done the second team.
Why didn't you just set up a second team?
Have you been managing your second team?
I've got a second and a third team, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about this in a bit.
All right, can do.
Well, I'll tell you what we have. I can set up a third team as well then, or can I not anymore?
You can. You could have two goes at it if you want.
Three then, because I've got my main team. Yeah, I mean, we're so close now. There's no point
Are you just going to save all of it for May? First, second,
and we've
third.
now got three opportunities at a console of our choice.
But when you think about it, you're not going to win it with the... I was thinking about it. You're not going to... How many transfers you got left?
Sorry, I was just moving the mic. I was in fact, James is not even talking in the mic.
Thanks,
how many
mate.
transfers? I've got 20 in my
main team. Yeah, but you want to set up for it as well, right?
Mm.
So you're going to use transfer to set up if it's not enough.
We shall see. But yeah, I thought of you because obviously you bought Sonny, and while Sonny was tearing it up for me in FPL, he was probably tearing it up for you in Sky. But I don't know what the ownership is like, particularly in Sky for Sonny, and what impact it had. But I thought James might have got his way back into the top 500, top 400, something along those lines.
Yeah, top 500, 473. I'm attempting to make a very late push towards the top 100, which I think is probably going to be a bit too ambitious, but yeah, I expect to finish quite well from here. I mean, it's a really big week coming up with the swing next week back towards the big three, if you will, which is even more conclusive now with obviously Chelsea losing to Real Madrid last night. We'll come back onto the Chelsea-Manchester United probabilities in a sec. How was your game week with what shit you do have, Suj? You don't know because you haven't logged in yet, so I'll tell you about mine. Yeah. 89 points for myself.
Yep.
Captained Harry on Saturday for the 14-point. I do own Sonny for his 23-point haul. We'll come back to Kane's son and perhaps potential captaincy ideas for them going forward. Sonny's ownership is 40.9% in the top 1,000 or so. So he's one of my best buys of the season, in all honesty. When a lot of people were going towards the Chelsea defence, decided to go against it, I went with Sonny as a differential. Many others did the same. I made a transfer on Sunday, Suj. Bought James Maddison in for Rafinha. It was quite straightforward. Leeds obviously blank this week. More difficult fixtures coming. Start of Leicester's kind of run. It was always going to be Maddison or Barnes. I had a slight preference for Maddison. Once I saw the Leicester team and Maddison was in it and Barnes wasn't, that made the choice very straightforward. Sport Maddison started with an assist for me. I captained Fabian Schär on Friday night for Newcastle against Wolves. Got the clean sheet. He did get booked though. And he was very close to passing to it as well, which would have been a super little haul, but can't complain with that 6-pointer. Bruno Guimaraes 8-pointer, by the way. Extremely good. I know obviously Ian Parron picked him up a few weeks ago when Newcastle lost at Tottenham, and he must have been a bit concerned at the fact he wasn't in the team for the game against Tottenham, but he won't come back out of that team now. That's absolutely outstanding. A level above everything else on that football pitch. I had a 3-pointer from Gabriel. I had a 3-pointer from Nick Pope, whose ownership in the top 1,000 is 71.7% at the time of recording, and I was staggered by that. Staggered that it was that low. Burnley haven't kept a clean sheet since January, by the way. Just saying, putting it out there. Those who went against will be very pleased so far. Cancelo's 4 points against Liverpool. That was my lot. I actually captained Mo Salah on Sunday for his 5-pointer assist against Manchester City.
Just a little better than Cancelo.
Possibly influenced by the fact that I'd sold him in FPL.
Okay, so you didn't want to get stung double. I get that.
A little bit.
It's funny how the two games can psychologically impact each other. I ended up on 61 points, which considering I did nothing and only had 9 players, it's not too bad. I'd had Joe Willock in the background for a while. He's obviously injured. I hadn't moved him on. I had the armband on him, but realised he wasn't in the team and moved it to Max Kilman. So Kilman was my captain on Friday. That was just a 4-pointer that doubled up to 8. Kane was my captain on Saturday. It's a 14-pointer off him. I captain Cancelo on Sunday, so 8-pointer. But I also have Edouard Mendy in goal, 9 points, which is tidy. 4 off Trent. Johnson blank, problem. Obviously, Soufal played at the weekend. I had 10 points off Rafinha and 5 off Salah, but nothing off Ward-Prowse and nothing off Saka. It's like 1s and 2s. And Willock blank, Johnson blank. So not great, but 61 when I've done nothing. It could have been worse.
I'm just trying to figure out how you're even going to move the likes of Johnson and Kilman to set up. This is why you need to set up a setting team. You're not going to be able to set this up well for May.
Oh, okay.
What are you going to do with them?
Let's go to Christian Norgard from Ben Johnson.
But it's no additional fixtures for Brentford, so it doesn't overly matter. If you've got Christian Norgard, it's fine. You can run through, but I don't think you're going to go and buy him from new at this stage.
So,
Chelsea
fixtures, yes, because this is now as we get closer after this weekend, and the FA Cup semis will finally be in a position where we know who's in, who's out, who's shaking it all about. So, that's when I can really get my head into what's happening with May and how I start manoeuvring myself to get towards May. Because I'm happy to use transfers before May to set myself up for May. And we will set up my third team to do it as well. Obviously, my second team, so we'll have quite a few swings at it. My second team is 38 transfers.
38?
Yeah.
Oh, so you did set up a second team?
Yeah, I set up a second team.
38 transfers.
55 points last week. Sanchez,
so,
Van Dijk, Stones, Rudiger.
This is what I'm saying.
Gallagher, Rafinha.
You can make 11 transfers in that
and still
to
have
set it up
transfers.
Perfectly for
Agreed.
April 30th and have more than you would physically be able to use in May. So,
I get it.
Yeah,
I think we missed the trick on that one, but so be it.
We did miss a trick. In any case.
Yes, Chelsea out of, unluckily, I have to say unluckily, out of the Champions League.
Should have won. It was a brilliant football match.
As soon as the first goal went in, and you talked about it on our Champions League preview, like the game is still alive. As soon as the first one went in, I felt I didn't watch it. I only was keeping score updates on my phone. I thought, there's going to be a story to be had here, and there was. I
mean, to watch that 2 days after watching City against Liverpool, what a treat for football fans at the moment. It is elite level stuff. You moved my mic again.
I'm just there we go. Tidy.
Whatever you say, boss. Elite stuff. Chelsea should have won. I mean, by miles the better team. And obviously they got themselves in a position where they were winning and be gutted to have, I mean, I say blown it. If you haven't seen Luka Modric's assist, turn this podcast off and go and watch it. I made Suj watch the assist before we started recording. It was phenomenal.
It was one of those things that defies physics. You're like, how'd you get that power and dip from the outside of your boot?
It looks like something out of a computer game. It doesn't look real.
Yeah.
Chelsea. What we now obviously have is a little bit more clarity, but not yet. So, they play Crystal Palace in the FA Cup semi-final on Sunday. Should Chelsea lose to Palace, my belief is that Manchester United against Chelsea will stay on the penultimate Sunday of the season, which is Sunday the 15th of May, and I believe it will be a 7 p.m. kickoff live on Sunday. I know that is a very, very strange one, but we know that's what Sky were intending to do with the fixture. So I think that's what will happen if Chelsea lose. Of course, if Chelsea play anything like they did last night, they will win and go through. So what would happen with the fixture? Well, I still think there would be a slight preference to what we long suspected was the possibility of Chelsea playing on the Tuesday and the Thursday in the final midweek of the season. So it would be Tuesday the 17th of May. However, the possibility of this fixture getting brought forward has increased massively. One of the really interesting things about Tuesday the 17th is, I presume that obviously one of the two Sunday fixtures, they put Southampton v Liverpool, West Ham v Manchester City at the same time on that Sunday. I presume what the current thinking is, whichever one loses, they'll move that fixture to the Tuesday night. Now that's complicated by if West Ham progress in the Europa League. But of course, if they are going to put one of those two fixtures on the Tuesday night, then do they want to put Manchester United and Chelsea on the same night? And of course, are UEFA going to let them show a fixture on the Wednesday night because of the Europa League final being that midweek, especially obviously if West Ham are in the final, that's almost a definite no. Obviously, Chelsea Manchester United can't go on a Wednesday. That's a definite because Chelsea play Leicester on the Thursday. Could it go on the Tuesday? Could Southampton v Liverpool, for example, be on the Wednesday? Yes, possibly. Obviously, it can't get brought forward into the midweek of 36 because we now know Chelsea are going to play Leeds into that midweek. We've spoken previously about the awkwardness about the midweek of match week 35. That's because Sky have picked Manchester United versus Brentford on the Monday, and then the following Saturday, Manchester United play at Brighton. So unless they're going to make United play twice in 3 days, it doesn't go in there unless they move one of United's fixtures against Brentford or Brighton, which I don't think is impossible, that they could move Manchester United versus Brentford back to 12 o'clock on the Sunday, for example. I don't think that's impossible, and therefore it could potentially fit in there. The obvious one, though, is the Thursday in match week 34. Neither club play until the Sunday afterwards. Chelsea it's not West Ham that week, is it? So they're away to Everton.
34, we play the West Ham.
No, sorry, the weekend after. So the weekend
after
Chelsea
is away at Everton.
Chelsea go to Everton, and United obviously have that fixture scheduled against Brentford. So the Thursday night, Thursday the 28th, is a possibility. There is no way of knowing until Chelsea have had their FA Cup semi-final with Palace.
So is there not an issue around short notice with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But the alternative is probably making Chelsea play twice in 3 days.
Yeah.
This is what we spoke about. The fixture that they should have left hanging was the Leeds game. Mm-hmm. They should have booked Manchester United versus Chelsea in or left it available for a slot. They haven't, because they've tried to prioritise it. And actually in prioritising it, they've given themselves more problems when they could have booked it out for a premium slot, even in the event that, say, it was going to get moved to midweek. They've given themselves some issues now. They've cocked it up, quite honestly. So you should be aware that United-Chelsea could get dropped in soon and suddenly if Chelsea beat Palace. And obviously, if that's the case, you got United playing Liverpool on the Tuesday. I think we would know by then if it was going to be in the midweek of 34. You got Chelsea playing Arsenal on the Wednesday, and there is a case just to be steaming into it quite quickly. Obviously, in the case of Manchester United, he would probably rather buy it now if he thought that was going to happen, because it's Norwich this weekend. And arguably, should you go for a Bruno Fernandes or Ronaldo, doesn't feel like a Sky asset at the moment, but Bruno maybe, or Jadon Sancho, I think the temptation would be to want to get it in this Saturday and arguably captain it straight away because they're playing Norwich.
Yeah, and that kind of is a segue, because I was going to say, let's talk about our captaincies, because we've got quite a few match days ahead of us in the next 7 days, being that it's what you'd call an FPL, a double game week, but it's weekend and midweek fixtures. Yep. I don't own any Manchester United assets, James, so for me on Saturday, the Spurs-Brentford game's the standout, and Harry Kane at home to Brighton is going to be my captain quite comfortably. So
our friend Baker from the Above Average FPL podcast really did a really interesting piece on Kane versus Son, and his belief that the returns are coming more for Kane when he's playing against teams who set up in a 4-2-3-1. Now, the problem with Saturday is, if you're sitting there with both and intending to captain one, as I am, is you could see the Brighton team like we did at the weekend. Anybody who looked at the Brighton team prior to playing Arsenal probably looked at it and went, I don't know what that is.
The formation.
No, not a clue. There is a case for Sonny because just the form is so good at the moment. And it feels like the ceiling is a little bit higher. Like Sonny is more likely to put this 23-pointer out there at the moment than Kane. So I think it depends how you feel.
Well, you own both, so what are you going to do?
I don't know. Okay. I genuinely don't know.
Wow. Are you going to leave it as late as seeing the teams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a decision when I see the teams. And it's not just that's...
Have you got
to be honest,
Wi-Fi down at the that shiny bowl?
Purpose, modern built stuff. And to be honest, if I know I'm going to make a Sky transfer, I won't go in the stadium till I've done it. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a chance I'll be flying in a cab because I've got the deadline stream Saturday morning in any case. Ouch. So, I'm not saying that if teams are playing against, if Tottenham are playing against a 4-2-3-1, then you should definitely captain Kane over Son, because when you look at, it's not like the last few games Sonny's gone off and it hasn't been against 4-2-3-1s, but it's not like Kane's not been returning in these games either, right?
I mean, who provides the ammunition? It's Kane, isn't it?
He has been, and he's more consistent in the sense that it feels like Harry hasn't blanked for quite... When was Harry's last blank?
Whoa, you're going back, mate. Burnley away.
Yeah.
After that, it's been 12, 17, 7, 12, 11, 7, 7.
There's more blanks over that period for Sonny. Now, obviously, over the last 3, he's gone absolutely mental, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You haven't got Sonny, have you? You want me to put it up? So Sonny, I mean, last 3 in Sky, 17, 12, 23. Before that, there was 2-2. Before that, it was 10-10. Obviously, Sonny blanked at Burnley that night as well. And it's a really close call. It might just be literally, I'll see the teams and see how I feel and go with one. If you're chasing, generally the advice is go Sonny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose if you're holding on, go with Kane a little bit. That's probably the advice.
If you own a United asset, go United versus Norwich.
I mean, would you captain Ronaldo over either of them two if he was still sitting there?
No chance.
Not for me either.
No.
Bruno, yeah, a little bit more maybe.
Sunday, ironically, West Ham, Burnley, Newcastle, Leicester. Quite a lot of people will have maybe Pope and the Newcastle asset for coverage from last Friday, and the Leicester midfielder, because a lot of people were looking to get into a Madisons and Barneses of the world. West Ham, unlikely that anyone's got Bowen still there or lingering, but then
few will have,
yeah. So people might have an incredible amount of coverage.
Well, a few have gone back to Bowen on one of the last 2 Sundays,
yeah,
which was something I'd thought about, get him in for Everton, Brentford, and Burnley, and then move it on again.
So the choice is going to be quite broad then on Sunday, would you think? Or do you think most people will go with Pope?
Bowen's 20% ownership.
It's higher than you'd think, right?
Well, I think the 20% in the top 1,000 will captain Jared Bowen.
Okay.
I don't think there's a doubt about it. I think the rest might, because of ownership, go with Pope, which is the obvious fallback for myself. But again, to be honest, wait until I see the teams, wait until I know what's happened with Leicester on Thursday night. I would rather captain Cher or Maddison in the Newcastle-Leicester fixture, is how I feel at the moment. Probably preference slightly for Maddison, but it really depends on what Leicester do tonight. Pope for me is the last resort for captaincy at the weekend, but I understand why people will go there because of the sheer volume of that ownership. Is EO, if you will, is going to be over 100%, isn't it? So effectively, you're going to be losing to the majority. But then, are we expecting Burnley to keep a clean sheet at West Ham? That's the point, isn't it? Not really.
No.
So it's a sort of one where I think, okay, yeah, you can go against the ownership. Bowen owners will go for Bowen, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Tuesday's the big game, Liverpool, Man United. Big game in the sense that it's a derby, but you can't look past Salah, can you, if you own Salah?
No, I'll be on Salah.
Trent otherwise as a backup.
Possible, I may even...
Any Liverpool asset.
I may add Liverpool next Tuesday as well, possibly. I intend to make a few transfers next week, Liverpool, City and Chelsea. I haven't decided what yet, and a lot of that might be dependent on the Chelsea United fixture and how it sits next Monday or so. Yeah, Salah, as long as he's in the team.
Wednesday, Man City are at home to Brighton, so Cancelo clearly stands out. Chelsea at home to Arsenal, tougher fixture. Some people might like Rudiger or what have you, but I think Man City assets stand out as the go-to, and Cancelo's ownership is obviously still going to be pretty decent. 84.8% in the top 1,000. You think he's going to be the go-to?
Straightforward if he's in the team. If he's not, then there's fullbacks, and as I said, I might be adding from City and Chelsea that night anyway, so I'm not going to be short. But in terms of stand out, João Cancelo if he's in the team. And
then Southampton Burnley, or Burnley Southampton, I should say, is the last game. I don't own Nick Pope, but I do own James Ward-Prowse. So for me by default, I'm going to be going Southampton. I'm going to be going Ward-Prowse. The highest owned, most captain. Do you think Pope?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. This will be a more difficult one to go against Pope, obviously. I've got Ward-Prowse as well. So, again, I'll we can talk about it next Wednesday in terms of
Indeed.
the overalls and stuff. Might depend what I see from Southampton against Arsenal at the weekend. But yes, because of the ownership, probably Nick Pope. Ward-Prowse is 13.9% owned in the top 1,000 versus Nick Pope's 71%, as we said. So, yeah, I think Nick Pope for the Thursday, but we can talk about that more again next Wednesday.
Cool. Let's have a look at some questions that we've had in on Twitter then, as we do each and every week. If you want to get your question answered, you just need to give James a cheeky little follow at Planet FPL Pod on Twitter. He'll ask on a Tuesday. We'll answer on a Wednesday. And we've had a handful of questions in here as well. DB, James, wants to know if Manchester United versus Brentford is now skippable.
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't think it is, because even still, you can just chain it and go, let's say the Chelsea fixture doesn't get brought forward. You can chain it and then go, right, Brentford Monday, Brighton on the Saturday, and then move it on to something else on the Sunday. And obviously, if they played Chelsea on the Thursday, you can enter it on the Thursday as well as 3-for-1, probably effective 4-for-1 with a captaincy. I mean, you could even make a case to say Mr. Tony is proving quite consistent, isn't he? And actually, if you were to buy Tony, for example, on that night, Brentford's last 3 fixtures, although there are no additional ones, Southampton, Everton and Leeds. I'll tell you what, for a differential, that's not a bad final 3 fixtures, actually. So, no, I think you could even invest in Tony that night.
Wondercat Venus says, if Such wants May Manager of the Month, why not just create a third team? I think we figured
There we go. Yeah, we've got it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just... sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees.
I can't believe no one said that previously.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Jay, SkyFF, has Salah gone from essential to dispensable? Or is it coming back round again to essential? Was there a period where he wasn't a good choice, but with Liverpool's upcoming fixtures in a few... Like, if you've got him now, you don't want to move off and move back.
One of the reasons in terms of saying, like, you know, will I or won't I buy Liverpool next week is it might be really dependent on when the Everton fixture happens, because we assume they'll go through in the Champions League tonight. We don't know yet whether they'll play the Tuesday or the Wednesday. Now, if they play on the Tuesday, the Sunday the 24th fixture will move back to the 5:30pm kickoff on Saturday the 23rd, in which case I would want to buy, if I want to invest in Liverpool, I want to buy it for the United game. If it stays on the Sunday, I'm quite happy to wait for the Sunday then, and then obviously buy it on that occasion. Obviously, if that fixture does move, Liverpool, Everton, Brentford and Tottenham will move to Sunday the 24th in the 4:30pm slot. Chelsea's other fixtures, obviously other than United, are now shut in. There was 2 Chelsea dates, West Ham and Everton, which could have moved back to Saturday. They're now locked on the Sundays.
Right. So, in terms of Salah, thoughts?
What is
essential, dispensable?
I think, to be honest, in Sky, it's right to say that there are definite periods where certain players feel essential. I think we're in the running now. Nobody's essential, because you can fight your own way and go with certain players and go against. Is he essential? No. I mean, over a short period like this, 5-6 games or so, can Jota outscore him for a couple of million cheaper? Yes, you've got alternatives. Sonny's obviously flying at the moment. Talking about even Ivan Toney, there might be an entry point further down the line. Is he essential? No. But I made a decision to keep hold of him because I knew I would want to keep hold of him in this format. So I think it's probably more coming back around that you would want to go back to. If you were selling, you've already done it, as far as I'm concerned.
FPL Canal. I don't think we've heard from him for a little while.
He's well, Neil.
Good. Do you think any Chelsea defenders outside of Rudiger will get enough minutes for the remainder of the season to make them a good pick? One option for Chelsea defensive is obviously go with the goalkeeper in terms of Mendy, because he will get all the minutes, and he's not Mr. Save tier or ever going to get you man of the match, but it's kind of 9 points consistently quite often. But in terms of the others, I mean, there's always that risk of rotation. I guess if you went with a Reece James or even an Alonso, there's the added upside of attacking return, so that when they go big, which kind of evens out the blanks when they don't play or get reduced minutes. rather than Thiago or Christensen or anybody else. So always the fullbacks, but they've got extra fixtures, right? So that might even itself out a little bit.
Massively. So I think like you can look at Chelsea as a block. Reece James is fit, and obviously, I mean, even more so, it's difficult because I don't think any of us don't think they'll finish third. Even if you thought, Tottenham and Arsenal will have great ends to the season, you only have to watch them last night and go, wow, bloody hell, this is a great team. So obviously, I think particularly if they beat Arsenal next Wednesday, then that's it, 100%. League season effectively is over for them if they win that fixture. And obviously, if they beat Palace on Sunday, they may well be prepping and gearing themselves up completely for an FA Cup final against City or Liverpool. But if you look at them, and let's say the United fixture did get brought forward, you're looking at entry points for them of Wednesday the 20th against Arsenal is obvious, Sunday 24th West Ham. If it's Manchester United, Thursday the 28th, you can enter them again Sunday the 1st against Everton. These are good fixtures, by the way, guys, I think. Saturday the 7th, I've got Wolves at home. Then it's Leeds away Wednesday 11th. And interestingly, from Wednesday the 11th, it might be, if the United fixture gets brought forward, that would be Chelsea's penultimate fixtures till the final Thursday and Sunday when they finish with Leicester at home and Watford at home. So, I mean, there is a case to say that Chelsea are the ones, arguably, that you should look at from the block of potential core players. But I also feel like maybe they're the avenue where you could be looking at differentials at the moment. Havertz, Mount, Timo Werner, honestly, was so good last night. I can't believe Tuchel took him off. It's best I've seen him for Chelsea. He was brilliant.
Anybody's ever doubted that there's a player, like if the penny drops, when the penny drops, he's going to be a beast. And it might be happening, but, beware.
But as ever with a lot of these things, it'll often come down to what are you selling. So we mentioned Mendy, right? It's a perfect case. So let's say you want to come off Pope. Well, then the problem is, when do you? Because actually, by the time you'd probably think of doing it, the moment's gone. Mm. So do you make that call earlier and go, right, well, there's a few cases where Burnley play. I mean, you're not going to go Mendy on next Wednesday, are you, when they play Arsenal, when Pope's got the single against Southampton the next day?
No.
So in a lot of these cases, it's not just about get them. It's about the timing of the player that you're selling as well. And it really might be dependent on when that United fixture falls in terms of how much. But yeah, I think you could definitely go with like James, Silva, Rudiger, Mendy if it works for you. Well, even a case for Alonso, he does give him more balance, and he's dirt cheap in this.
Yeah. Luke, Mr. Disabled, says if you had to, and this kind of is a follow-up to this question, if you had to go all in, i.e. load up 3 or 4 players from one team from here till the end of the season, who would it be? And obviously Chelsea, with their added fixtures, put their hands up in the ring. I think the front 3 at Spurs are very viable if you really wanted to go in an all-in strategy.
Those who've got Kulusevski as well are flying.
Yeah. So I think that's more than viable. Liverpool have a couple extra fixtures or what have you in there. I think their assets are always good because you've got the likes of Van Dijk, who are not good in FPL, are worthwhile having a look at here. And Chelsea that we've mentioned. Obviously, you can't discount City. Laporte's still number 1 there. We know Diaz is out for a while. So it's sadly the big 3 or 4, which doesn't sound like we're giving any kind of advice that's groundbreaking, but City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs are the ones that I feel comfortable with. 3 or 4. I think
more now, and I need to give this some thought myself, I feel like at this point now, you do, rather than go in Rudiger, Cancelo, Van Dijk, and maybe a second, Laporte, whatever. I feel like you want at this stage to move more to a block of one team. Okay. That's kind of what I'd like to do. And it might be the fact that I've obviously I've still got Mo, might mean that the answer's not Liverpool for me. It might be City. Now with City, I think the rotation feels higher than, say, if you go Trent, Van Dijk, Robertson, feels kind of generally pretty safe. And they've got harder league fixtures, Liverpool, than City. With City, you've got Diaz returning to fitness, so going like Walker, Laporte, Stones, Cancelo, which is more affordable than going Liverpool's 4, I should imagine, but also has greater scope for going wrong, right? When you've got the likes of Zinchenko, Nathan Ake, Diaz coming back to fitness as well. I think ideally City, but the additional for Chelsea means that even where your guy does get rotated for one at some point, and that'll probably even happen to Rudiger, that because of the knock-on rotation that will inevitably happen at City as well, that you're probably still winning with Chelsea. But I could see City going through the rest of this season only conceding 2 or 3 goals. I think the answer's probably Manchester City.
Ian Parrin, ever heard of him?
Yeah, can I just throw one more team in there, just really daft? People are going to laugh their heads off about this. Southampton.
Okay.
In terms of a block. Just for a little bit of a period, from the Burnley fixture on the Thursday, then they've got Brighton, then they've got Palace, then they've got Brentford, where there's an escape on Saturday the 7th. So you're getting 4 Southampton fixtures over a lot of other 2s. And if you're sitting there with 14 or 15 left or so, the fixtures are good enough that I think you could consider it. How many times have we seen Southampton get absolutely destroyed and then bounce back and have had a really good run?
Yeah.
And those 4 fixtures are decent. Burnley, Brighton, Palace, Brentford.
Okay.
It's just one where there's certainly a period between Thursday the 21st and Saturday the 7th, they've got the best of it in terms of fixtures. So there might be something there for Southampton, possibly.
Okay. You kind of answered Michael Race's question, which was between now and the end of the season, is there a 3-for-1 that you must need a player from a certain team or anything like that? Well, Southampton might be one where you could get that.
There's no must. I mean, in my case, I've got JWP, so he's probably
Covers it
coming
off.
through with me now. There's a case, like I said, from that final fixture against Brentford, then all they've got left after that is Liverpool-Tottenham. So there's possible 3-4s v2s with captaincy, possibly a little bit more where he moves on for me at the end. But there isn't a, oh my God, you've got to have this, I don't think. It's,
okay.
The game really, at this closing stage, for people in the top couple of hundred, the game should be moving away from a template where people are trying different things. Think of Ferran Torres, was it last year or the year before, that hat-trick at the end. Was it Ian was asking about, you got a 50-point deficit, how do you make it up? So I saw someone ask that question. And the answer...
Not in this bunch of questions.
I saw someone ask it in relation to Sky about, you got a 50-point deficit in your mini-league, how do you make that up?
It's one
Ferran Torres. It's one Ferran Torres.
Captain.
Heung-min Son, if you'd have gone that way at the weekend and your opponent hasn't got it, it's 46 points.
Yeah.
So it can be made up.
And talking about Mr. Parrin, his last question of the show, he says, keep up the terrific work. I know you'll cover the possibility of the Merseyside derby swapping days with Tottenham visit to Brentford in a couple of weeks. If that does happen, what will it make in terms of transfer plans difference? So you obviously mentioned there, James, that it means you can go a week earlier. So if Liverpool, Man United is now on the Saturday, then you're likely to move on Liverpool later. You can go on the Sunday.
I think the key thing will be if Liverpool play on the Tuesday in the Champions League and the Liverpool-Everton fixture moves back to the Saturday, you have to attack Liverpool next Tuesday against Manchester United, because then all the way through they play on Saturdays.
Right.
So, I mean, it's effective Saturdays because the penultimate weekend would be a Sunday and everyone else is playing that day. Or, okay, it's a single game day against Southampton. But if you want that Liverpool block then, for example, say, okay, I want to go Alisson, Trent, Robbo, Van Dijk, you should go for a lot of them on Tuesday.
Okay.
Whereas if the Everton fixture stays to Sunday, I think you can take a little bit more time about it.
And on the flip side, we've talked about the single game day, Manchester United versus Brentford. If you don't own Manchester United and you don't want to own any Manchester United, you want to go Brentford, if your game moved to the Sunday, then it makes it a better entry point for Brentford if you wanted a Cheapy or an Ivan Toney. So
no, it doesn't really matter.
No, that doesn't make particular difference then.
Not really, because United Brentford's the Monday, isn't it?
Right, okay, so you just go in on the day.
I think if you were going for a Toney or a Norgard or something, just perhaps as a facilitator, then yes, I would go on the day at the end, I think.
Okay, fine, you never know. At least that way you can see the team, so that's a fair shout.
United, there were a couple of, you may want to go earlier, but I still think even with that one, like if it's a 3-for-0 effective and you're getting Bruno captaincy, then Brighton away and then Chain moving it on, like I would still want to do that. So I would be factoring in my plan to potentially do something like that.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Those are the questions that we've had in on Twitter, and we've kind of covered off all the bits and pieces for Sky Fantasy Football for this week. We'll be back next week, James.
We can. Just a couple of things to just cover very briefly.
Of course.
Southampton, I do think, as I said, there's an entry point next Thursday. We'll probably talk about it more next week. I think Newcastle, Leicester, you can still go in for Sunday. Obviously, if you do want Nick Pope and haven't gone there, you probably should buy for the West Ham game on Sunday rather than wait for the Thursday, although, again, it's subjective in terms of who you're selling. City and Chelsea's attack next Wednesday. Liverpool, really importantly, if obviously that Everton fixture moves, it needs to be attacked on the Tuesday. There is a case for selling Tottenham. So if you have gone Kane, Son, Kulusevski, again, if that Brentford fixture moves to the Sunday, you got a few teams going to play 3 times in the middle. There is a case to come off. So I think people like me who've got the double, Kane, Son, I will consider moving one on if the Tottenham-Brentford game moves to the Sunday.
Right, cool. Things to consider depending on the structure of your
honestly,
team.
It's really dependent on what day Liverpool play in the Champions League. I can't answer that right now.
Well, we'll know next week, right?
And we will.
Listeners, thank you so much for your support and tuning into the show. If you're a keen Sky player, as we say each and every week, you may want to consider joining our patreon.com/planetfpl, where you can find out more. We have kind of a Sky planning spreadsheet and an active Slack community
Sky
as well.
more on our Patreon pod on Friday.
Nice.
Once we should hopefully know what day Liverpool are playing.
Yep, indeed. Stay tuned for that. All the additional content you get on Patreon, you can find out on the link that I just mentioned. Other than that, we'll be back at you tomorrow. Clash of the Correspondents. Slight change in schedule. Southampton, Burnley.
After I joked about Adam Pritchard trying to cancel it. The poor fella's got COVID.
Yeah.
But actually, it's probably more interesting from a Sky perspective, actually, because Jack Tone, our Burnley correspondent, going to be standing in. Obviously, that is the single game day next Thursday. Burnley, Southampton. We'll obviously cover the Burnley's fixture at West Ham and Southampton's fixture against Arsenal as well.
Indeed. Stay safe. Look after yourselves. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Best of luck. Be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man, child.